The massive Imperial ship emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system, its dark metal hull reflecting the distant sunlight. The ship's sensors immediately began scanning the third planet from the sun, collecting data about the civilization that called it home. Inside the Imperial vessel's command center, Admiral Grant watched the holographic display with growing disappointment. "Another primitive world," he muttered, his golden uniform gleaming under the bright lights. "Barely worth our time." The initial scans showed exactly what the Empire expected to find. A developing world still heavily dependent on fossil fuels, with limited space exploration capabilities and no faster-than-light travel. Their military technology seemed especially primitive, simple chemical rockets and basic nuclear weapons. The Empire's automated classification system quickly labeled Earth as a Class C civilization. "Prepare the standard first contact protocol for primitive worlds," Admiral Grant ordered, not even bothering to look up from his datapad. "They'll either submit to Imperial rule or face complete isolation. These humans won't be foolish enough to choose isolation." What the Empire's advanced sensors failed to detect, however, was the flurry of activity taking place in a secret facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. As soon as the Imperial ship appeared on Earth's long-range detectors, General Thompson activated the Global Alert System, bringing the world's leaders together in an emergency virtual conference. "Ladies and gentlemen," General Thompson addressed the assembled heads of state, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "The moment we've been preparing for has arrived. Our deep space sensors detected the alien vessel 30 minutes ago. Based on its size and energy signature, we're dealing with exactly what our predictions suggested: an advanced civilization with imperial tendencies." The world leaders listened intently as detailed scans of the alien vessel appeared on their screens. For the past decade, Earth had maintained the appearance of a divided, technologically limited planet while secretly preparing for this very moment. Hidden bases around the globe housed technologies that would have seemed impossible to most of Earth's population. The Imperial ship's arrival triggered a series of carefully planned responses. Military bases worldwide activated their quantum shielding, remaining completely invisible to the alien scanners. Underground factories began increasing production of advanced weapon systems. Most importantly, Earth's secret space fleet remained perfectly hidden in deep space, their revolutionary stealth systems making them undetectable to even the most advanced Imperial technology. When the Imperial ambassador's message finally reached Earth's surface, demanding an immediate response to their ultimatum, the world's leaders were ready. They had practiced this moment countless times in simulations. "Send our response," ordered the UN Secretary-General. "Tell them we are honored by their attention and request a face-to-face meeting to discuss terms. Make sure to add plenty of appropriate humility and awe." As the message was transmitted, General Thompson smiled. The Empire would see exactly what they expected: a primitive civilization awed by their superior technology and eager to avoid conflict. They would never suspect that Earth's apparent submission was part of a carefully crafted plan. "How long before they detect our true capabilities?" asked the Chinese president, his face serious on the video screen. "They won't," General Thompson replied confidently. "Our quantum shielding technology operates on principles their sensors can't detect. To them, we're just another primitive world not worth careful study. Their arrogance will be their downfall." The Imperial ship received Earth's response exactly as predicted. Admiral Grant smiled smugly as he read the humans' appropriately submissive message. "See," he told his officers, "these primitive species are all the same. Schedule a formal meeting with their leaders in 3 days. We'll explain how their world will be properly incorporated into the Empire." As the sun set over Earth that evening, 2 very different groups made their plans. In the Imperial ship, officers casually discussed how quickly Earth would be absorbed into their empire. Meanwhile, in secure facilities around the globe, humanity's leaders finalized their preparations for a response that would shake the galaxy to its core. The Empire had made a crucial mistake, one that countless others had made throughout human history. They had judged humanity's capabilities based on surface appearances, never suspecting that beneath Earth's seemingly primitive exterior lay a civilization that had spent years preparing to take its place among the stars. The trap was set. Now all humanity had to do was wait. Deep within a mountain base in Switzerland, Captain Tom Walker stood before a massive window, watching engineers prepare Earth's secret weapon. The underground hangar stretched for miles, filled with sleek spacecraft that no one in the Empire knew existed. These ships represented humanity's greatest technological achievement, vessels capable of becoming completely invisible to all known forms of detection. "Captain, the final systems check is complete," reported his second-in-command, Lisa Roberts. She handed him a tablet showing detailed readouts of their fleet's status. "All 20 stealth cruisers are ready for deployment." Walker nodded, his eyes fixed on the nearest ship. Its dark hull seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, a side effect of the quantum shielding technology that made it invisible to Imperial sensors. "And the weapons systems, all functioning perfectly," Lisa confirmed. "The plasma cannons are fully charged, and the missile bays are loaded. The Empire won't know what hit them." Above ground, the Empire's representatives were preparing for their first official meeting with Earth's leaders. Their scans continue to show exactly what they expected: a planet full of primitive satellites and basic space stations. The quantum shielding worked perfectly, hiding all evidence of Earth's true military capabilities. In Washington, D.C., General Thompson briefed the world's military leaders on the next phase of their plan. The large underground command center hummed with activity as officers from every major nation gathered to coordinate their response. "The Empire has taken the bait," she announced, pointing to a holographic display of the Imperial ship. "Their arrogance makes them blind. They haven't conducted any deep scans of our planet because they think we're not worth the effort." A military officer from Russia stood up. "What about our orbital defense platforms?" "Still completely hidden," General Thompson replied. "The quantum shielding makes them invisible to Imperial technology. They see only what we want them to see: old satellites and space junk." Meanwhile, in orbit around Jupiter, Captain Walker's fleet maintained their perfect stealth formation. The ship's crews had trained for years for this moment, practicing maneuvers that would be impossible for the supposedly primitive civilization the Empire thought they were dealing with. "Status report," Walker commanded, sitting in his captain's chair aboard the lead ship. "All ships maintaining position, sir," his tactical officer reported. The Empire's patrol ships passed within 1,000 kilometers and didn't detect a thing. "Our quantum shielding is working exactly as designed." Back on Earth, the first official meeting with the Empire's representatives was about to begin. The Empire had chosen a large stadium in New York for the event, wanting to impress Earth's population with their power. Their massive ships hovered over the city, a clear display of technological superiority. The Imperial ambassador walked onto the stage, his golden robes shimmering in the sunlight. He looked down at the assembled human leaders with barely concealed contempt. "People of Earth," he began, his voice amplified by advanced technology, "today marks the beginning of your world's integration into the Galactic Empire." As the ambassador spoke, General Thompson received an encrypted message from Captain Walker. "Fleet in position, ready to proceed on your command." She smiled slightly, then sent a single-word reply: "Wait." The ambassador continued his speech, outlining how Earth would be governed under Imperial rule. He described the taxes they would pay, the resources they would provide, and the limited rights they would have as a Class C civilization. Throughout the stadium, Earth's leaders maintained perfect expressions of meek acceptance. Years of preparation had taught them exactly how to play their roles. The Empire's representatives saw exactly what they expected: a primitive civilization awed by their power and technology. But in secure facilities around the world, final preparations were being made. Engineers performed last-minute checks on defense systems that the Empire didn't know existed. Military commanders reviewed battle plans that had been years in the making. Earth's hidden fleet maintained their perfect stealth formation, waiting for the signal to strike. The Empire thought they were dealing with a simple, primitive world. They thought Earth's leaders were negotiating terms of surrender. They had no idea they were walking into a carefully laid trap. As the ambassador finished his speech about Earth's bright future under Imperial rule, General Thompson sent another encrypted message to Captain Walker. 24 hours until Operation Sunrise begins. Maintain stealth. Prepare for combat. The Empire's greatest mistake wasn't underestimating Earth's technology. It was underestimating humanity's capacity for patience, planning, and deception. They were about to learn just how costly that mistake would be. The Imperial Palace on their capital world was designed to make visitors feel small and powerless. Its massive crystal towers reached miles into the sky, while anti-gravity platforms carried important officials between floating meeting chambers. This was where the Empire brought representatives from conquered worlds to finalize their surrender. David Reed, Earth's chosen ambassador, stood at a window in his waiting chamber, watching the endless streams of flying vehicles pass by. He wore a simple black suit, deliberately chosen to look primitive compared to the Empire's elaborate clothing. Everything about his appearance was carefully planned to reinforce their impression of Earth as a backward world. "They're ready for us," his assistant Robert Gray whispered, entering the room. "Remember the plan. Act impressed by everything." Reed nodded, straightening his tie. Time to give the Empire exactly what they expect. Another primitive civilization in awe of their power. The meeting chamber was filled with representatives from across the Empire. Hundreds of alien species watched as Earth's small delegation entered. The Empire's High Council sat on elevated platforms, looking down at everyone else. Another calculated show of power. "Representatives of Earth," the High Chancellor spoke, his voice echoing through the chamber. "You stand before the greatest civilization in the galaxy. Are you prepared to discuss the terms of your world's integration into our empire?" Reed stepped forward, allowing his voice to tremble slightly. "Honored Chancellor, we are overwhelmed by your magnificence. Earth is humbled by the opportunity to join your great empire." The High Chancellor smiled, exactly as Earth's behavior experts had predicted. The Empire's leadership was used to seeing primitive worlds grovel before them. Reed's performance fit perfectly into their expectations. Meanwhile, hidden in the dark space between solar systems, Captain Walker's stealth fleet was on the move. His ships used the Empire's own transportation networks to get into position, remaining completely invisible thanks to their quantum shielding. "Status report," Walker commanded from his bridge. "All ships in position near primary targets," his tactical officer replied. "The Empire's patrol ships continue standard routes. They have no idea we're here." Back in the Imperial Palace, Reed continued his carefully scripted performance. "However," he said, bowing his head respectfully, "we request one small favor. Our world needs time to prepare for this great transition. We ask for 1 standard year to ready our people and infrastructure." The High Council members exchanged amused looks. A year's delay was a common request from primitive worlds, giving the Empire time to establish control gradually while letting the local population adjust to their new status. "Your request is granted," the High Chancellor declared, his tone generous. 1 standard year to prepare your world. Use this time wisely." What the Empire didn't know was that Earth needed this time for a very different purpose. As Reed bowed gratefully, General Thompson was overseeing the final phase of their military preparations back on Earth. "All orbital defense platforms are in place," her aide reported in their underground command center. "The quantum shielding is working perfectly. Imperial satellites see only what we want them to see." Thompson nodded, studying the holographic display showing their hidden defenses. "And the ground-based installations, complete and fully operational. The Empire's observers see only primitive military bases with basic weapons. All advanced technology remains undetected." In space, Captain Walker's fleet had reached their final positions. His ships now surrounded key Imperial infrastructure, fuel processing stations, communication hubs, and military bases. all still completely invisible to Imperial sensors. Last system check complete. Lisa Roberts reported on the bridge of Walker's flagship. All weapons primed and ready. We can strike at a moment's notice. Walker smiled grimly. Maintain position and stealth. Wait for the signal. Back in the Imperial Palace, Reed finished the diplomatic session with another carefully rehearsed show of submission. The Empire's leaders were clearly satisfied, convinced they had another easy conquest on their hands. As Reed's delegation left the palace, he sent an encrypted message to General Thompson. Phase 3 complete. Empire fully committed to their assumptions. They've given us exactly the time we needed. The reply came quickly. Excellent. All pieces are in place. In 1 month, Operation Sunrise begins. The Empire won't know what hit them. The greatest empires often fall not through force alone, but through a combination of arrogance, deception, and careful planning. As Earth's representatives departed the Imperial capital, they knew the countdown to the Empire's greatest military disaster had begun. The Imperial Fuel Processing Station orbiting Centauri Prime was considered untouchable. Its defensive shields and weapon systems were among the best in the galaxy. No enemy had ever managed to get within 1,000,000 kilometers without being detected, which was why Commander Wilson of Earth's stealth fleet smiled as his ship floated just 500 meters from the station's main reactor. Thanks to their quantum shielding, his vessel was completely invisible to the Imperial sensors. All ships report ready, his communications officer whispered, though there was no need to be quiet in space. Old habits died hard. Captain Walker gives the green light. Operation Sunrise begins in 5 minutes. Similar scenes played out across Imperial space. 20 of Earth's most advanced stealth ships had positioned themselves near critical Imperial facilities. Each target had been carefully chosen to cause maximum disruption with minimal loss of life. On Earth, General Thompson stood in the Global Command Center, watching the operation unfold on massive screens. "Send the signal," she ordered. "Commence Operation Sunrise." In space, Captain Walker sat in his command chair, his expression stern. "All ships, execute primary mission. Remember your training. No Imperial casualties unless absolutely necessary." The attack began simultaneously at all 20 locations. On the Centauri Prime station, the first sign that something was wrong came when their main reactor suddenly shut down. Commander Wilson's team had used their advanced hacking systems to seize control of the facility's computers. "Station control to engineering," an Imperial officer called out in panic. "What's happening?" Before anyone could respond, every screen on the station displayed the same message. "This facility is now under Earth's control. Remain calm. No harm will come to cooperative personnel." Across Imperial space, the same scene repeated. Critical facilities suddenly found themselves under Earth's control. Quantum-shielded ships appear out of nowhere, their weapons trained on key systems. Earth's forces had achieved complete surprise. In the Imperial Palace, alarms blared as reports flooded in. The High Chancellor stared in disbelief at the emergency broadcasts. "Impossible," he shouted. "These primitives couldn't possibly." His words were cut off as the palace's own power systems suddenly failed, switching to emergency backup. On every screen, the same message appeared. "From Earth, with regards. Your assessment of our capabilities was incorrect." Captain Walker's flagship cloaked directly above the Imperial capital city, its massive form finally visible to the stunned population below. Thousands of Imperial citizens stopped to stare at the ship that seemed to appear from thin air. "Broadcast on all Imperial frequencies," Walker ordered. His message was calm but firm. "This is Captain Walker of the Earth Defense Force. We have seized control of 20 critical Imperial facilities. Our terms for their return will be transmitted shortly. Any aggressive action will result in the complete shutdown of your fuel processing network." The Empire's response was predictable. 3 Imperial battlecruisers moved to attack Walker's position, their weapons powered up, preparing to destroy this upstart human vessel. Walker allowed himself a small smile. "Defensive systems holding." "Yes, sir. his tactical officer reported. Their weapons have no effect on our quantum shields. They might as well be throwing rocks at us. The Imperial ships fired their most powerful weapons. The blasts simply vanished into Walker's quantum shields, leaving his ship completely untouched. The Imperial commanders watched in horror as their most powerful weapons proved useless. In the command center on Earth, General Thompson received the first batch of reports. All targets secured. Minimal resistance. No casualties on either side. The Empire's fuel distribution network is completely under our control. She turned to address the assembled world leaders on the video screens. Phase 4 complete. The Empire now knows we're not as primitive as they thought. The question is, how will they respond? The answer came sooner than expected. The High Chancellor himself appeared on their communications channel, his face a mixture of rage and disbelief. How dare you? You primitive. General Thompson cut him off. Chancellor, I suggest you choose your next words carefully. Your empire currently has fuel reserves for approximately 3 days of normal operation. Shall we discuss terms? The first strike had been perfectly executed. Earth had revealed its true capabilities in a way that left the Empire stunned and vulnerable. But everyone knew this was just the beginning. The real test would be what came next. As his ship maintained position above the Imperial capital, Captain Walker sent a brief message to Earth. Phase 4 complete. Ready for Phase 5. The Empire's response should be interesting. The Empire's response came with the force of a tidal wave. 5,000 warships emerged from hyperspace around Earth, their weapons charged and ready. It was the largest fleet the Empire had ever assembled in one place. Admiral Stone of the Imperial First Fleet stood on his command bridge, looking at the seemingly defenseless planet below. Send the message, he ordered. Either Earth surrenders immediately, or we reduce their cities to ash. In the underground command center, General Thompson received the transmission. She looked at the assembled world leaders on her screens, noting their calm expressions. Everyone had expected this response. Should we show them what we've been hiding? She asked. The Council President nodded. Time to reveal Earth's true defenses. General Thompson pressed a single button on her console. Across Earth's orbit, thousands of previously invisible defense platforms suddenly appeared, their quantum shielding deactivating in perfect synchronization. The Empire's sensors were suddenly overwhelmed with readings they never expected to see. Admiral Stone's confident expression faltered. What is this? His sensor officer's voice shook as he reported, Sir, we're detecting over 10,000 automated defense platforms. Their technology. It's far beyond anything we've ever seen. Before the Empire could react, Earth's orbital defenses activated. Beams of blue energy shot out from the platforms, creating a massive energy shield around the planet. The Empire's scans couldn't even penetrate it. Now, General Thompson commanded, let's show them why you don't threaten Earth. The defense platforms opened fire, but instead of destroying the Imperial ships, precisely targeted beams disabled their weapons and engines. Hundreds of ships found themselves powerless, floating helplessly in space. Admiral Stone watched in horror as his mighty fleet was systematically neutralized. Impossible. They're just primitives. How can they? His words were cut off as his own flagship's systems went dark. Emergency lights kicked in as every screen displayed the same message. Technology-level reassessment required. Captain Walker's stealth fleet suddenly appeared among the Imperial Armada, having been there undetected the entire time. His ships moved with impossible precision, disabling any Imperial vessel that still had functioning weapons. This is Captain Walker to all Imperial forces, his voice transmitted across all frequencies. Your weapons are disabled. Your engines are offline. You have two choices. Surrender or float in space until your life support fails. We'll give you 10 minutes to decide. In the Imperial Palace, the High Chancellor received the reports with growing dread. The mighty Imperial fleet, pride of their civilization, had been defeated without a single casualty. Earth hadn't even bothered to destroy their ships. How? He demanded of his advisors. How did we miss this level of technology? On Earth, celebrations hadn't yet begun. Everyone knew this was a crucial moment. General Thompson addressed the Global Command Center. Phase 5 complete. Prepare for diplomatic transmission. She opened a channel to the Imperial Palace. Chancellor, let me explain what just happened. Your mighty fleet was defeated by less than 10% of Earth's defensive capabilities. We could have destroyed every ship you sent. Instead, we chose to show mercy. The Chancellor's face had lost its usual arrogant expression. What are your terms? First, you will withdraw all forces from Earth's solar system. Second, you will recognize Earth as an independent power, not subject to Imperial authority. Third, we will discuss the release of your fuel processing facilities once these conditions are met. In space, Captain Walker's fleet began attaching tractor beams to the disabled Imperial ships. We'll tow you to safe positions, he transmitted. Your crews will be unharmed. Consider this a lesson in the dangers of underestimating others. Admiral Stone, watching helplessly from his powerless flagship, finally understood. Earth hadn't just been hiding their technology. They had orchestrated this entire confrontation. Every move, from their initial submission to this decisive battle, had been planned. As Earth's defense platforms continued their perfect formation around the planet, the Empire faced a harsh reality. They hadn't found a primitive civilization to conquer. They had awakened a sleeping giant that now held the power to reshape the galaxy. General Thompson sent one final message to the Imperial Palace. Next time you discover a new civilization, remember Earth. Remember what happened when you underestimated humanity. The galaxy is changing. The age of Imperial arrogance is over. The Imperial War Council chamber had never been so quiet. 12 of the Empire's highest-ranking admirals sat around a massive holographic table, watching recordings of their fleet's humiliating defeat at Earth. "Play it again," ordered Grand Admiral Peters, his face dark with anger. The hologram showed Earth's defense platforms appearing from nowhere, then systematically disabling 5,000 Imperial warships in less than an hour. "How did we miss this?" one admiral asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Our initial scans showed nothing but primitive satellites and basic weapons." Before anyone could answer, an aide rushed into the chamber. "Urgent news, my lords. We're receiving reports from across the Empire. Other species, they're beginning to resist Imperial control." On the outer edges of Imperial space, the news of Earth's victory had spread quickly. Dozens of species that the Empire had classified as primitive were suddenly revealing hidden technologies of their own. Earth's success had inspired them to act. Captain Walker's stealth fleet patrolled near the Imperial capital, monitoring the situation. His communications officer reported, "Sir, we're picking up transmissions from at least 30 different worlds. They're all demanding independence from the Empire." Walker smiled. This was exactly what Earth had hoped would happen. Their display of power wasn't just about protecting Earth. It was about changing the entire galaxy's power structure. In the underground command center on Earth, General Thompson received updates from their intelligence network. "The Empire's control is crumbling faster than we expected," she told the world leaders. "Their reputation for invincibility is destroyed. Every world they ever underestimated is now questioning their authority." On her screens, reports showed Imperial forces rushing from system to system, trying to maintain control. But they couldn't be everywhere at once, and their usual tactics of intimidation no longer worked. No one feared their advanced technology anymore, not after seeing Earth defeat their greatest fleet. The High Chancellor called an emergency session of the Imperial Senate. As he prepared to address the gathered representatives, a new message arrived from Earth. The color drained from his face as he read it. "Play the message for everyone," he ordered, his voice trembling. General Thompson's hologram appeared in the center of the Senate chamber. "Greetings, Imperial Senate. By now you've seen that your military power isn't as absolute as you thought. But we're not interested in destroying the Empire. Instead, we offer a choice. The senators leaned forward, listening intently. Option 1. Continue trying to maintain control through force. If you choose this path, Earth will support every world seeking independence. Your empire will collapse into chaos. She paused, letting that sink in. Option 2. Work with us to create a new galactic council, one where all species have equal representation, regardless of their apparent technological level. The Empire can be part of this new order, but as equals, not rulers. Back on his flagship, Captain Walker received new orders from Earth. His fleet began moving to key positions around the Imperial capital, their quantum shields still active. A clear reminder of Earth's power. The Imperial Senate erupted into heated debate. Some senators demanded immediate military action to restore control. Others saw the wisdom in Earth's offer. The High Chancellor watched helplessly as his government began to fracture. In orbit around Earth, diplomatic ships from dozens of worlds began arriving. Species that the Empire had dismissed as primitive now revealed themselves as advanced civilizations that had hidden their true capabilities, just as Earth had done. The Empire made the same mistake with all of us, the ambassador from Proxima told General Thompson. They saw what they expected to see. Primitive worlds easy to control. Now they'll learn what it means to face united resistance. The message was clear. The age of imperial dominance was ending. A new galactic order was emerging, built on respect and equality rather than intimidation and force. As Captain Walker watched more ships arrive at Earth, he sent a message to General Thompson. It's happening exactly as we planned. The Empire's biggest weakness wasn't their technology. It was their arrogance. General Thompson's reply was simple, and that arrogance has cost them their empire. Phase 6 complete. Prepare for the final phase, the creation of a new galactic alliance. The Empire had started this conflict believing they were dealing with one primitive world. Instead, they had triggered a revolution that would reshape the entire galaxy. 1 year after Earth's revelation of its true power, the Great Hall of the newly constructed Galactic Council building buzzed with activity. Located in neutral space, the massive structure represented everything the old empire had failed to be. Transparent, equal, and built on cooperation rather than force. Captain Walker stood at a window overlooking the gathering of ships from hundreds of worlds. Imperial vessels now flew alongside ships from formerly primitive planets, their crews learning to work together as equals. His own stealth fleet, no longer needing to hide, stood as a reminder of how quickly things could change. "Quite a view, isn't it?" General Thompson asked, joining him at the window. She had traded her military uniform for formal diplomatic attire. Hard to believe a year ago these same species were either hiding their technology or living under imperial control. Inside the council chamber, representatives from over 200 worlds gathered for the historic first session. The former High Chancellor of the Empire, now simply the Imperial representative, sat at the same level as everyone else. No raised platforms, no special privileges. Ambassador Reed, Earth's chief diplomat, called the session to order. "Today marks the beginning of a new era in galactic history," he announced. "No longer will any civilization be judged merely by what others can detect. No longer will technological advancement be the only measure of worth." The chamber's holographic displays showed scenes from the past year. Imperial forces withdrawing from occupied worlds, hidden civilizations revealing their true capabilities, and new alliances forming between formerly oppressed species. A small alien, representing a world the Empire had classified as primitive, stood to speak. "For centuries, we hid our true capabilities, knowing the Empire would try to seize our technology if they discovered it. Earth showed us there was another way. They showed us that unity is stronger than empire." The Imperial representative rose next, humility having replaced his former arrogance. The Empire's greatest mistake was believing that what we could see was all that existed. We let our technological arrogance blind us to the truth that greatness comes in many forms. In Earth's underground command center, now transformed into a global coordination facility, The world's leaders watched the proceedings. Screens showed their new defense network, now integrated with allies across the galaxy. Earth had become a key hub in the new galactic community. The final trade agreements are being signed, an aide reported. Quantum shielding technology is being shared with our allies, while we receive advancements in medical science from the Proxima worlds and environmental management techniques from the Centauri systems. Captain Walker's second-in-command, Lisa Roberts, now commanded her own ship. She sent a message from deep space. Order patrols reporting success. Former Imperial worlds working together to maintain peace. No signs of conflict. The galactic map in the council chamber showed the new political reality. The Empire's former territory had been reorganized into cooperative regions. Some worlds chose independence. Others formed new alliances. But none were subjected to the old system of imperial control and classification. General Thompson addressed the council. Earth's message remains the same. True strength lies not in domination, but in cooperation. Not in hiding behind military power, but in sharing knowledge and resources. The galaxy is entering an unprecedented age of peace and discovery. Ambassador Reed outlined the final points of the new Galactic Charter. All worlds would be considered equal members. Technology sharing would be voluntary, not forced. Military power would serve defense, not conquest. Cultural exchange would be encouraged. No civilization would be classified as primitive. The former High Chancellor signed the charter last, officially ending the Empire's rule. As he pressed his thumb to the document, he looked at Earth's representatives. "You could have destroyed us," he said quietly. "Instead, you chose to help us change." "Destruction is easy," Captain Walker replied. "Building something new, that's the real challenge." As the ceremony concluded, ships from across the galaxy lit up the space around the council building in a spectacular display of unity. Earth's fleet joined in, their quantum shields creating beautiful patterns of light. General Thompson sent one final message to all Earth's forces. Operation Sunrise is complete. The mission to reshape the galaxy succeeded not through superior firepower, but through strategic patience and the power of inspiration. Remember this day, when humanity proved that the greatest victory isn't defeating an enemy, but transforming them into an ally. The galaxy had changed forever. The Empire's mistake in underestimating Earth had led to something no one expected. A better future for all species. As night fell on the council world, the stars seemed to shine brighter, illuminating the path to a new age of galactic cooperation.